Good Girl Exploit World presents Suspense Ghost Story Ever. On the night of Halloween, Oswald got out his mushroom costume to go trick-or-treating to make Olivier entertained for the night. He tried looking for any horror-themed dresses Olivier could wear, but was frustrated that there were hardly any. When Vanessa sees Oswald digging through Olivier's closet, she says her daughter isn't going trick-or-treating. This disappointed Oswald, because as far as he knows by now, Olivier has never gone out on Halloween before. Oswald told Vanessa that Olivier has not got to go trick-or-treating before, and thinks this is her chance to finally take action. Vanessa was initially skeptical, but then agreed, as long as Oswald doesn't plan to mess with her. Vanessa did not want to buy a costume, so after some thinking, Oswald got a purple and red striped dress and a light brown wig to put on Olivier and had fake blood all over her. Vanessa wanted to look out for Olivier too, so she dressed as a ghost using white clothing with a long white sheet, and Oswald did a rectangle cutout on the spot where she could see. While the trio went house to house, Olivier was starting to have unfamiliar flashbacks of being captured by a man and then being brutally stabbed to death. After trick-or-treating at houses, they stopped by a house where the family was offering candy to trick-or-treaters who could get through their haunted house. They needed to pay $5 to go in, so Vanessa gave Oswald the money so he and Olivier could go in. While inside, Olivier started having an unfamiliar flashback again. This time, she is being dragged by the same man she saw in her previous one, and got molested before being murdered. As Oswald escaped the haunted house with some candy, he got worried that Olivier was not out yet, and he had to go in to find her. After the haunted house trip, the trio went to more houses, but Olivier was having a hard time getting herself together, because she still keeps having horrific flashbacks of being kidnapped that she does not remember. Plus, she spotted some ghost sightings on a few occasions. Anyways, after stopping by a few more houses, the trio went to a raging Halloween party that they came across. Anyone was allowed inside as long as they behaved, so they made their way in. While Oswald and Vanessa were playing some Halloween games, Olivier was dancing along with the crowd to the music playing. Unbeknownst to her, a child ghost is standing in the middle of the crowd, signaling Olivier to follow him. This is when Olivier started having the terrifying flashbacks again, but when she finally sees the kidnapper's face, she becomes annihilated, and sneaks out from the party. When outside, she spots the same-looking kidnapper walking down the streets. It was at this moment when Olivier is possessed by an already murdered girl. Meanwhile, at the Halloween party, Oswald and Vanessa went to find Olivier to play Halloween games with them, but of course, they didn't find her there. Realizing that she must have walked out the door, Oswald urges Vanessa to help find her, and the duo then goes looking for her. Simultaneously, Olivier is walking alone, and thanks to the missing children's flashbacks she is having, she now has clues of where their dead bodies are. The missing children's corpses were lying down slopped on the ground in a deep tunnel of woods. Apparently, that is when Olivier caught the murderous kidnapper performing necrophilia on a dead miner's corpse. Olivier walked to the man with a rock, but the man started kissing her on the full lips. Olivier then bashed the rock on his head. At the same time, Vanessa and Oswald were still calling out looking for Olivier when they heard a scream from a distance. Oswald runs to where the screaming was coming from until he runs into what he thinks is some random person, unaware that the man is the murderous kidnapper behind the latest killings in town. Oswald rushes to find Olivier, and tries to get her to tell what she was doing. When Oswald places his hands on her shoulders, the missing children's flashbacks possess him before he gets one of the missing children's flashbacks of an unknown man stabbing him. The man's face is revealed in the flashback, prompting Oswald to shockingly realize the man he bumped into earlier was the kidnapper and killer. When Vanessa catches up with Oswald, she asks him where he found Olivier. Oswald responds saying there is a murderer on the loose. Bewildered, Vanessa tries to change the topic when she notices a very awful smell, which was coming from the woods. When she goes to walk across the street, she is almost hit by a car, but that is when she saw the rotting bodies in the woods from across the street thanks to the moving car's headlights. Not being able to take the brutal reality, she goes and tries to get Oswald to come with her, but Oswald refuses to let the kidnapper get away, and so he runs off. Vanessa lets out a frustrated outcry, asking Oswald where the fuck he is going. While seeking for the man, Oswald spots the kidnapper going to the same haunted house that he and Olivier participated in earlier, but he was too afraid to yell out or else the kidnapper might make a run for it. The kidnapper got out his $5 and went his way in, putting Oswald in a state of panic. He then knocks on a random woman's home to ask for $5, but the woman thought he was asking for candy. Oswald just takes the candy and decides he had no other choice but to break inside the haunted house in order to stop the kidnapper's heinous crime. Inside the haunted house, the kidnapper goes through the creepy hallway, looking at the children and family photos. He then goes to the next phase, and goes to the ghost room. When the kidnapper goes inside, the door shuts behind him, and he is surprised to see a 6-year-old family member dressed as a ghost. The evil man decides this is his chance to kidnap. As the kidnapper lies and tries to convince the kid they were going to go somewhere fun and exciting, Oswald tries to find a way inside the haunted house without anyone noticing him. All of a sudden, he spots Vanessa, along with Olivier, saying that they need to go home immediately. Oswald was still reluctant, and he took off once again only to spot the kidnapper running off with the 6-year-old family member, who was a part of the haunted house roleplay. At the same time, some trick-or-treaters complained they couldn't open the door of the ghost room, which is the 6-year-old boy's bedroom. When the father opened the door, he was shocked that his son was nowhere to be found, and told the bad news to his wife. The mother then announces to the participants inside the haunted house that if they find their 6-year-old son named Ethan, they would get $20, which only made the atmosphere more complicated. The trick-or-treaters who were waiting outside the haunted house got jealous by this, and they all wanted to go inside too. All of a sudden, the screams of the 6-year-old Ethan were heard. When the Halloween music was quickly turned off, almost everybody within the block and haunted house area could hear the cries of the poor boy. This prompted the father to run to where the screams of his desperate young son were coming from. While the father was searching and running, Vanessa was about to drive home, and she did not want to waste her time searching for Oswald. Unfortunately, she accidentally hits the 6-year-old boy's father, and up to that point, they were both in a serious hurry. Vanessa pulls over to help and finds him resting against the rear bumper of a car parked in front of her. When she accidentally knocks her vehicle into neutral after getting back in to grab her wallet, the car rolls forward and pins the father in between the two bumpers, challenging his lungs. This causes Vanessa to have a mental breakdown. Meanwhile, Oswald is chasing the kidnapper and does not dare to stop. When he finally catches up with the kidnapper in the dark woods, he demands the man surrender the kid. The kidnapper got out his pocket knife, and went to stop Oswald from stopping his horrific act. The two get into a brawl, and the 6-year-old boy cries in despair. Eventually, the kidnapper got up and picked up the boy before running off into the fading dark after getting stabbed by Oswald a few times. Left behind, Oswald sits down in the middle of the woods around the few corpses of children. Suddenly, the echoing screams of the kidnapper were heard. At first, Oswald was confused yet still afraid, but when he saw a child ghost approaching him, he recognized the child's face from the flashback he had when he found Olivier. Not long after, many more child ghosts walked up to him with the 6-year-old Ethan under their safety. Oswald holds hands with the 6-year-old boy, and they walk back to the neighborhood. Meanwhile, Vanessa is talking with the police and explains that what happened was an accident, and tries to help the man because Vanessa did not attempt to run off from the incident. Her explanation satisfies the cop. The father is shortly afterwards brought to life. Back to Oswald, he brought the kid back to his home. The boy's mother got angry and thought Oswald kidnapped him, but Oswald swore he did not, and explained that a man kidnapped the boy. Right at that moment, the sirens around the neighborhood went off, and a voice on the speaker poles urged everyone to walk back home immediately because dead bodies were found in an area of woods, and that a man was found dead with a pocket knife with him. At that point, most people were ready to go home, so they obliged. Oswald finally reunites with Vanessa and Olivier. Vanessa was mad and asked Oswald why he ran, and Oswald said there was a kidnapper on the loose. Remembering what she heard on the loudspeakers, Vanessa was shocked, and they all drove home before things could get any worse. The next day, there was a knock at the door, and Vanessa opened it to see a police officer offering her $1,000. When Vanessa asked what it was for, the police officer said that they got DNA leading to a boy named Oswald. Additionally, they were offering money as a reward to whoever could find the children that went missing lately. Vanessa was also informed about a suspect's dead body lying along with other corpses the suspect seemed responsible for. The police also talked with the 6-year-old boy who was kidnapped. While he talked with officers and investigators, Oswald said that although he tried to stop the murderous man, he did not successfully kill him. This leaves him and other officers wondering who could have put an end to that evil man's life. The end.